Hi everyone. Welcome back to the afternoon sessions. Now we have James to help us to have a topic about a TUI stuff. So we like you to introduce yourself.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm James Zheng, and today I'm going to talk about building beautiful TUIs with ink, uh, like React in your terminal. So first, a little bit about myself. I'm a incoming CS student. I do hobbies, open source contribution and development, and also as I'm visually impaired, I also try to use technology to help bridge the accessibility gap for visually impaired people. And if there's time left at the end, I may also talk about like my experience of using the terminal as a visually impaired person. So yeah, let's get started. Let's get started. First, let me talk about TUIs in general and yeah, why it's good. So you see on at the meme on the right, this ultimate Swiss Army knife, and there is a lightsaber there, which is like ultimate bloatware. Hello, hello. The TUI is good because like first it's efficient and lightweight, so you don't need like a 300 MB electron like bundle to in order to function. It's just rendering text in a terminal buffer, and then it's more scriptable because as it's text, you're like it, even if it's like traditional automation or using AI agents, it's much easier to just scrape the content and then do something about it rather than having to walk through the UI tree and stuff. And then, well, of course, it's cool. Just like this presentation is also in the terminal, and big shout out to the creator of Present Term, which enables this like presentation in the terminal. And before we talk about how to make a like TUI with ink, let's uh, learn a little about like how TUIs work in general. So hopefully we can like appreciate the simplicity of ink a bit more. So on the left, this is the like VT100, the first like widely commercially successful video terminal that popularized the like ANSI escape codes. And ANSI escape codes is a standard where you write or pipe like escape codes like the one shown on the screen onto the terminal directly to say control the cursor or like make text in a different color, make text bold, or erase the terminal and stuff to like make the terminal more vibrant and less of a monochrome like text buffer. So as you can see, here's a little bash script that prints a spinner UI. Uh, the printf command looks like gibberish, but when I execute it, yeah, hopefully you'll see that it's a like orange spinner. So yeah, it clears the terminal, and then the /r is to clear terminal to like move the cursor to the first row, first column, and then the long escape sequence is to like make the text orange, and then you have your text, and then you reset the like terminal text styling with the backslash and then 0M command. And yeah, you can also I think a lot of you have like used this before. You can also watch Star Wars in the terminal, which is also enabled by like ANSI escape sequences. And also in the TUI, because it's all text, we usually simulate a UI with Unicode characters like these line characters, box drawing characters. You can see here's a simple UI with what appears to be a button. And we also use other symbols like these symbols for approximating raster graphics, and we can also abuse Braille to like make a loading spinner and stuff. Now let's get started with Ink. So Ink is a terminal user interface framework which allows you to write command line apps in React.js. So, well, to be honest, React is kind of like a bloated framework, but it's really easy to work with, especially if you come from a web dev or like JavaScript background. And if you know React already, you probably already know Ink. So it's really simple and intuitive. I think this is a quote from one of the creators of Ink, and they basically did this because they thought joining together strings and the ANSI escape sequences I talked about before is really tedious. So Ink provides a nice interface for rendering interfaces like what is it called? Yeah, rendering interfaces declaratively. And many of your favorite terminal tools are built in Ink, like Claude Code, Gemini CLI, and Cloudflare Wrangler. Well, unfortunately, I think Claude Code and Gemini CLI forks Ink and does their like own proprietary stuff on top. So I don't think they contribute a lot nowadays. So that's kind of like a sad news. And here's a little bit of Ink fundamentals. So Ink, it's like just JSX, like your normal like web, like your React code base, and Ink provides some like terminal specific components, like the box, which is just a div with like display set to flags, and the text component is used for rendering style text, which we'll talk about later. And there's also the static component, which is like when you want to output logs or like command history and stuff that you don't want Ink's renderer to override on every render. You use this so it persists in the terminal history. And you see here is a very minimal Ink example. It will create a updating counter, and it's just like importing Ink, and then React hooks and contacts all work in Ink natively, because Ink uses interacts with the React reconciler just like React Native. So it's really like React Native but in the browser. It also uses the same yoga layout engine as React Native. So all the Flexbox CSS stuff work as well. I'm not sure if this demo works. Yeah, it does. It does. It's like it's constantly updating. Yeah, how many tests passed. And this is like, what is this? Oh, right. This is like how you create a full screen TUI with Ink. So first you use window size hook provided by Ink, which will update whenever the terminal size changes, and then you just create a JSX with the box and width and height set to that values, and in the middle you can have whatever you want. Let me show you how like interactive it is. Why is my bash? Okay, so you can see it's like in the full screen, and if I resize the terminal, it will automatically update and then like re-render. Let's get rid of this. Here. And in order to accept user input, wait, all right, let's do this example. And you may wonder why I have like a set timeout, a set interval here. It's just to keep the Node.js event loop running so it doesn't just render a single frame and then disappear. And here, in every Ink app, you need to call the render function with your component tree, and the out screen option is to enable the terminal's alternative buffer, which is what is used by apps like Vim and OpenCode as well. So your TUI output doesn't pollute your batch history. And in order to accept user input, you just use the use input hook provided by Ink, which will give you the inputs if it's like characters, printable ASCII, or a key like up arrow, return, shift, so on. And this one is a minimal input. What is it called? Yeah, text input bar. So you can use it in like search bars and message boxes. This one is another use input example. So it uses the key to create a select input. And the you see it also uses the uses screen reader enabled method, because Ink provides screen reader compatibility integration, and when the text is screen reader, like you can try to render more simple and accessible view, so visually impaired users with a screen reader can like efficiently navigate your UI. And here is just the like your canonical React JSX. So now, besides the core Ink library, we also have some, like Ink has a relatively rich ecosystem. First, you have Pastel, which is like a Next.js framework for Ink. It allows you to define your like commands in your terminal app with your file structure. So you see here I have a like nested directory, and it will be transformed into a nested subcommands. So instead of having like 100 lines of boilerplate to define your commands, you can just do this, and each file will serve as its respective command's entry point. Pastel also allows you to define your terminal, like your CLI args, arguments, and options using Zod to provide type-safe values and also automatically generate a help message for you. We also have many useful userland components, such as Ink text input, which is like the one I showed you before, but it's like more mature. It shows you the text cursor, it allows you to move around, and it's more user-friendly. We have Ink big text for displaying banners and like titles. We have Ink Markdown for like rendering Markdown. Well, so imagine if you are building like a LLM chat app or agent harness, and you can just pipe the LLM output into this, and then it will be like outputted as nicely formatted Markdown directly in your terminal. We also have Ink Picture, which is I created this library for rendering images directly in terminal. It works with different image rendering protocols. You can see there are like low quality ASCII approximations and like high quality full resolution ones. If we have time, we can also go over the details. And you have Ink Chart for rendering very aesthetically pleasing charts in a terminal, which I think is useful for data science. And to test a Ink app, the authors of Ink also created this Ink testing library where you can render something and get the terminal buffer, so you can assert on it and like do the other testing stuff that you would do to a web app or other like process in general. You can also send in, as you can see in the middle, you can send in your user inputs and wait for the app to update. So also here is a little showcase of a project I'm co-author of this Instagram CLI, which is also built with Ink. So hopefully it will give you a more like direct impression of what Ink can do. So originally we created this project using Python and curses. I don't know if any of you have heard of this. It's like a very OG library used to create like VI and stuff like that. And well, essentially that the development experience isn't very good because you have to manually measure all the layouts and then manually calculate everything before you render. So eventually we switched to Ink and TypeScript. So it offers several advantages, including like the development cycles, and it's more development friendly. It's more we can have more contributors because new contributors doesn't need to read the entire code base to understand everything and then change something, because React provides a really component based code base, so you can just change something and it won't affect other components. We also partly switched to React because we want to wipe code more, because there's like LLMs are trained on lots and lots of React data, so it knows all the patterns, and you can just tell it that, well, this is like a React compatible framework that renders stuff to the terminal, and the LLM will be able to do a decent job on creating your user interface. So let me show you a quick demo video. So you can see we have a scrolling chat view. A chat view is created with like Flexbox provided by Ink. We have like custom image rendering using my Ink picture library. And you can type commands just like in the LLM harness, but it's really similar to like a chatbot, to a chat system, because like there are messages going out, there are messages coming in. And everything is rendered in the terminal's alternative screen as well. We have multiple commands, which where we also use pastel to create the entry points. So you can like see your chats and stories and posts and stuff. So that would be, I think that we are approaching the end of my presentation. I don't know how much time we have left. So this is the Ink. It's the Ink code base. You can like the repo and like scan the QR code, and here are my contact details. If you have any questions or like want to collaborate on a project, please reach out. And how many time do we have left?
Around 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Let's see if there's any questions about the TUI or the Ink stuff. Any questions?
Okay, looks good. I've been writing a web browser which works in the terminal, and it has many tabs, and you can shift between them and so on instantly. But I'm using the touch screen under Termux, and so you can catch touch events and click events, and I even catch scrolling, so I simulate scrolling by swiping and so on. So it's kind of interesting what you can do with those things to enhance the experience. I don't know if you use any of that or mouse events maybe. Is it probably the same thing?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really sure about like touch events, because maybe the mobile terminals provide more APIs. But for mouse events, the like base Ink repo doesn't provide anything, but like it can be implemented in userland. And actually, like in the Instagram CLI products, we also implemented it. Basically, there's a few mouse protocols used by terminals, like the SGR and X11 mouse protocol. So you send in a anti sequence, and then the terminal will continuously update you about your mouse position and whether you clicked by sending stuff into STDIN. So we can just like cache the STDIN and parse the escape sequences to determine the mouse position whether you have clicked, you have scrolled, and then we can like do stuff like just like in a like in a web app where like when you mouse hover over an element, it will be highlighted and etc.
Ah, cool. Yes. All right. You found it.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. If is there any questions about this project? If no, then please help me to give a backhand to James.
Thank you.